And good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Cruise Inc. Radio 102.8 TV. It is Wednesday, February the 24th. It is 8:04 here in the Cap City, and I hope that you had a wonderful Wednesday. I want to tell you that we have another fantastic broadcast for you tonight. I was reflecting back when I first had Dr. Shepard on. It was almost a year ago, coming up soon in March. And we were just entering into this phase of the pandemic. And over the course of almost a year, what I've learned about Dr. Shepard is that he is serious about his practice. He is serious about helping people, but more importantly, he is serious about his walk with the Lord. And you can tell that in the way that he, again, makes himself available to help people. You just see the Christ in him. And I think that goes a long way in making him the man that he is and the doctor that he is, and being able to provide that insight that I know tonight you all are going to benefit from. So again, he's been here before. You all that have been following me know him just as well as I do, because we often share his information. We share his podcast. He has several different podcasts going on right now, and I'd like to bring him back to the stage once again. Dr. Shepard, how you doing?
I'm all right. Good evening, everyone.
It's good to have you back with us once again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's good to be with you again, Cruz, and with the family of Cruise Inc. Radio.
Absolutely. Now, you have a lot going on. You stay extremely busy. Tell our audience about the various podcasts first that you have, and because they follow you, but we want to make sure for those that are tuning in this evening that they know that both sides, that professional side and also that spiritual side.
Absolutely. So I have two weekly podcasts or broadcasts. One is definitely a broadcast, and that is one on Friday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I am coming up on almost 1 year where I have been coming to the listening audience each Friday. Have not missed a Friday for almost 365 days. That's amazing.
Yes.
In that particular broadcast on Fridays is sponsored by my company, Hope Health Systems. And so we deal with mental health issues and how they relate to our community. So it's not always mental health. We talk about the coronavirus. We talk about education. We talk about racial trauma. We talk about just the whole gamut. And so if it relates to your mental well-being, which most things do, we're going to talk about it. So join me. That's on Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can go to my social media pages for that. Then the second one is, which really is a podcast, and that is called Spirit in Mind. And you can go into our VidFlex TV portal. So it's Spirit in Mind, VidFlex, VIDFLEX.TV, and go check us out. I am one of the co-hosts, and the other co-host is Bishop C. Guy Robinson. And in that particular podcast, we take spiritual lessons and relate them to the mental health world. And so Bishop Robinson actually wrote a book called Critical Collaboration between a minister or faith-based leader and a mental health professional. So we're just really enacting out his book. And so we've had tremendous conversations. And right now we're in a wonderful series. You should get caught up. It's called Living Your Best Life. And so we have taken the acronym SIP and C: spiritual, intellectual, physical, social, economical, and emotional. Right now we're dealing with the social. Man, let me tell you, that social piece Saturday. Living your best life. You gotta go. You gotta go, because if you want to live your best life in 2021, those 6 areas you must attend to, because all of us are affected in those 6 areas. So please join us. That's at 12 noon each Saturday, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time.
And we're going to make sure that we come back and give you an opportunity to put that out there once again, because I often follow you all, especially with Ask the Doctors, and you have some phenomenal guests out there and a lot of insight. And I would encourage anybody, if you're going to spend time on the internet, you need to spend some time that's going to benefit you and your family, to give you some insight. And that's what we want to do tonight, Dr. Shepard, because what was important to me is more than just having a radio station and playing music, but we wanted to provide information and insight to our listeners. And so we're very fortunate to have somebody here like you with your expertise and can share that insight on just a different level. And as I mentioned, when you and I, when I first had you on the show, we were, it was like March the about March the 19th, and we were just coming into the pandemic on a kind of like a more notable basis here. And where we are right now is kind of like we got a somber milestone where we've gotten now to 500,000 deaths in America. And I think when we talked about it then, just even the number of 100,000 that they were talking about didn't even seem real. But now we have 500,000. And I want to ask you a question from a spiritual and a professional level. It seems as though that number, even at 500,000, somebody said today, with World War II, World War I, and with the Vietnam War combined, we have had more deaths. But it's like it's not resonating. What is, in your opinion, Dr. Shepard, is happening? Have we become disconnected, callous, or just accepting the facts about what's going on?
Well, unfortunately, is a combination of things. Lack of leadership, I start with number one. Those who have heard me talk about this subject know that that's where I always start. A lack of leadership. Anytime that you have poor leadership, you're going to have people who are going to run rampant and not adhere to the guidelines that need to be followed. And so what has happened is we had a messed up, jacked up, whatever you want to utilize in that term, rollout. It was not just President Trump. We have faith-based leaders who were not leading. I am not scared to say that. We have people giving mixed messages that this thing is not real. We still got people saying it, that it's not real. It's a hoax. It's a myth. We need to stop that. It's 500,000 people have died. I dare you to go tell one of those family members that this is a myth, that this is a hoax. How dare you? But again, it wasn't just President Trump. We have pastors. We had certain leaders who were saying things that they should not have been saying. We even had other world leaders who didn't really fully believe that this was going on. So all of this helped to cause us to be at this point, especially in the United States of America. Even those other countries that were just about as bad as we were, even about 6 months ago, they got it together. We have still continued to allow this virus to devastate us at a pace that we should not have. Yes, over the last month, things have gotten much better. What I mean by things have gotten much better, we're not having the 100,000 plus infections per day. So now we have cut that. And so we still need to continue to reduce that. So that's where I come from. Spiritually, we need to make sure that we are listening, that we're listening to the right voices. God has not forgotten us. God has not abandoned us. This is not God striking back against us for something that we did. How dare we? We got to be so careful when we say things that God has provided a cure.
Right.
He provided a cure through the vaccine. God is too much of a loving God to not allow his people to be rescued. The problem is us. We don't listen. We allow other people to influence us when we know better. And so I speak strongly. I speak very passionately about these things. So that's my stance on that, Cruz.
Now, I'm going to have Dr. Kinslow coming up on Saturday. Now, you're a psychiatrist and she's a psychologist. Can you draw a line of demarcation there in terms of the difference between the two professions?
Absolutely. A psychiatrist goes to medical school. So they're not one and the same. They're not interchangeable. I went to medical school. Why is that important? Because I am able to write a prescription for any medication. If I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to, I dare not do it because I know the guidelines under which I practice.
Right.
Doctors have a different lens through which we operate. We normally can see the whole body because I studied the biological aspects that relate to well-being. I know the brain. I know the anatomy of the brain. So I also know the behavioral pieces too. And so there's a clear demarcation between a psychiatrist and a psychologist. Now, each of them have their own right. I'm not saying that one is better than the other.
Right.
But there is a clear demarcation. A psychiatrist goes to medical school and is now one of the most touted specialties that is needed. I was just talking earlier with some folks today that I got teased for going into psychiatry. My colleague said, "Why would you go there? That's only for crazy people." And I'll be honest, at first I thought that was only for crazy people.
Right.
But until I said, "Okay, God, I will go ahead and do it," and I said, "As long as you don't make me crazy, God, I'll be all right." And let me tell you, I have not regretted the decision one day at all.
And we're still, I was listening to Dr. Fauci not about 24 to 48 hours ago, and he said that, for us to be the most advanced country in the world, again, as you mentioned, we're still far behind everybody else. And you think that at this stage, with all of the technology and information here, that we will be farther along. Is it again a mental block somewhere, in your opinion, that we are still haven't caught up with everything? We're not there yet mentally.
No, it's not a mental block. It's intentional.
Okay.
It's intentional. Let me tell you why it's intentional. In this country, we benefit from people being sick. It's a capitalistic mentality. So it's not a mental block. They know what they're doing.
Okay.
Pharmaceutical companies benefit from people being sick. I'm just gonna pull the carpet off, pull the sheet off. I mean, that's just the truth. Also, racism. We have to understand that racism runs rampant in medicine. I am in medicine. I am an expert in medicine in my field, but I must also spill the tea, as they say, reveal the ugly truth.
Right.
Racism is in medicine. And so these are the things that perpetrate the reasons why we can't advance. Now, we have the most intelligent doctors. We have created some of the most wonderful inventions, and Black people have done that. I want you to know that.
Right. All
Black
right.
people have been at the forefront of creating inroads into medicine. All right. But reason why we lack behind is because healthcare disparities. Why is it that a Black woman still, when she gets pregnant, we rank almost 20th in the world in relation to miscarriages, in relation to fetal care? And it doesn't make sense.
Right.
There's so many women who are having miscarriages or deformities or other OBGYN issues. I'll just say that to keep it regular, that we should not have to be facing, because we don't treat our people right. We benefit from people being ill and being racist and keeping them out of where they need to be.
And what this pandemic has really illuminated is that very problem that you just talked about in terms of the disparities between people of color and Blacks specifically, composed, as compared with our white counterparts. And it's still, I was thinking about the story, and just realized that the young lady that they were talking about that put the glue in her hair, and it was a black doctor that was able to come up with the solution to help that young lady out. And it's just I don't think that we sometimes as black people understand how brilliant we are and how the level of experts like yourself out here. And I want to say this to you as we move on. I made a conscious decision, and Dr. Varner was like this split second decisions. You gotta have all the right information and everything, based on again your level of expertise, the way that you talked about the vaccine, and the busting of the myths about the vaccine was crucial for me to guide my family, to be the CEO of my family and say, okay, yes, based on the people that I've listened to and also have a trust in, we're going to take the vaccine. So I want to say thank you for being that catalyst and doing that for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Thank you. I take that job seriously. I really do. I take my job, like you were saying in the introduction, very seriously, because there are too many people who are dying. One of the things that Cruz, I was coming back home, listening to the radio one morning, and I was devastated to hear a syndicated radio host heard throughout the country get on there and say she's not taking the vaccine because she heard that there are fetal parts inside of it. Just started quoting all this stuff that was just erroneous. And let me tell you why I got sad. I wasn't sad because it was her. I was sad because someone's going to listen to her, not take the vaccine, get the virus, and then die. We have to be careful with what we put out. If we don't know better, or we don't know what we're talking about, it's best that we just leave it alone and be quiet. I've done my research. I've done the studies. I've talked to the people. I've even had the vaccine myself. I've gotten both doses. And so I'm now almost 2 weeks in, so which means I'm just about fully vaccinated. But I understand that we're not out the woods yet. I still wear my mask. I'm actually double masking right now because I understand that there's variants, and these variants are very contagious. And so even though I may not get the full disease, I don't want to be a carrier of the virus. So yes, I take my job seriously, and we must make sure that we're listening to the right people.
Right. And that's important. We get bombarded with a lot of stuff on social media. I get people inboxing me all the time. And I got that probably that video that you were just talking about, again, with the breakdown of what was in there. And I said, you have to, one, stay abreast of what's going on. And as you just said, find somebody that that's doing the research, somebody that and trust. And again, you and your colleagues that you bring on, you guys break this all the way down, and you make it very plain where people can make a conscious decision. Because as you know, we Black people are hesitant to do a lot of things, and even talking to you in your profession, and we need it. I mean, we go through so much, but yet we don't seek the help. And why is that, in your opinion, we still have that gap between seeking professional help?
Well, there's various reasons why we don't seek help. Number one is because we don't realize we need the help. You're not going to seek help if you don't realize that you need the help. And so most people who actually need help, they need someone to come along and say, hey, I need for you to go and get the help. And that can be very hard. And that's one of the major questions I get asked. Dr. Shepard, how do I get my family member? How do I get the person who I love to go get help? I know they need help. And so we struggle with that. And so that's one of the major reasons and I see going across the screen is denial. Lord, okay, right on cue. So that is one of the issues. Another one of the issues is just healthcare disparities, obstacles, cost. I am now raising the awareness that cost is a bigger factor than stigma. Stigma has been reduced. It's still present, But cost is bigger than stigma. Let me prove it to you. People are working part-time jobs just to make ends meet, but their part-time jobs don't give them the healthcare benefits that they need. So there may
Mm.
be 2, 3 part-time jobs just to get a full-time salary, but they don't get the healthcare benefits. Why is it that in our country, healthcare is a privilege and not a right? That's wrong. And so if you lose your job, like the millions of people who have lost their jobs, there goes their healthcare benefits.
Right.
So cost is one of the major reasons. And then even if you do have it, you go to your EAP, Employment Assistance Program, they tell you, well, if you're depressed, you get 5 sessions. Huh? Since when did we start quantifying how many sessions it takes for me to get over a depressive episode? We've lost our minds. You
Hmm.
cannot quantify how long it takes for someone to get the help that they need in mental health care. So these things are the barriers for why people are unable to seek treatment, because people want to seek treatment. I do believe that. It's
Right.
just that now they don't know where to go. Places have shut down. That's another factor, because they're not able to get the reimbursement. People thought the doctors were making buku money. I've had to
Hmm.
dispel that myth. Uh,
Please
you know,
expound on that. Please go
oh,
there.
I'm going there. I have no problem. I'm transparent. My salary was cut, Cruz, for 5 consecutive months in the year 2020.
Wow.
5 months. People didn't know. I didn't complain about it.
Right.
And I had to have my salary cut to make sure that the other people who work alongside me, under me, could maintain so we didn't lose them. That's what a leader does. That's what a leader does in crises. I talked
Hmm.
about lack of leadership earlier. That's what a leader does when it is time to lead. And so I understand doctors, we took major cuts. All right. We took, we were unable to allow people to come into the offices. So
Hmm.
everybody wasn't prepared for telehealth sessions. And then for certain practices, for psychiatry, it works. But how is a dermatologist going to be able to do a telehealth session all the time? You
Right.
need to be able to touch the person's skin. You need to be able to act, you can maybe be able to see it, but you need to be able to make sure that you know what you're seeing and touching. So a lot of doctors really are suffering right through here. And so even though, yes, we're going through a global healthcare crisis, hospitals were affected, clinics were affected. Bottom lines for a lot of the doctors was were really devastated. I'm thankful that I had people who taught me how to be able to save in the
Hmm.
midst of times like this. Cruz, if I had not saved, I would have been up the creek.
Oh
And so
man.
I'm thankful for people who taught me ahead of time, like the ant. Like the ant saves in the summertime, so when wintertime comes, he has the food.
Right. And again, and I'm not knocking our people because again, knowledge is power, and so many things that you just touched on, especially about the cost. I want to go. The insurance company, we both know how they operate because my wife and I just went through something where I'm the primary carrier of our insurance. She works for the government hospital. I won't call it out because I don't want to get in trouble. But when she went to use the insurance for her prescription, because I'm the primary, they would not allow any difference from her insurance. And so, in other words, we're still paying both insurance coverages, but they will not allow us to receive both benefits. And so,
Mhm.
again, it's just the rich get richer, and the people that need it the most get screwed.
Yeah, let me tell you, some people are doing very well during this pandemic. Um, and I can understand some of the reasoning behind Congress being careful of how much money they're giving out. I'm
Hmm.
not saying that I'm opposed to the stimulus payments, but let me tell you, there are people who are doing well. Again, let me be transparent with my financial portfolio. I met with my financial planner, and he said, "Dr. Shepard, you lost big gains in March, like so many of us did,
Hmm.
but by June, I was back even."
Right.
I said, "Huh?" He said, "Yeah." By June, you were back. So what it tells me, Cruz, is that the wealth gap between the impoverished and the rich has gotten wider.
Mm-hmm.
There's something wrong with the country where we have more millions of people lose jobs, but yet the stock market is all-time high. There's something wrong with that picture. I don't care who
Right.
you are. You don't have to agree with me, but you must admit that there's something wrong with that picture. How is it that we have more people losing jobs, but yet the stock market is experiencing great highs? Something is off with that. The wealth gap has enlarged. It even got to the point, and this is really sickening if you go and study it. So when the pandemic hit everybody,
Right.
everything had closed down. But do you realize that wealth gap remained constant even when the pandemic hit? It was not an even playing field.
Mm-hmm.
It was not even. Go do your research. The New York Times does an excellent expose, and some excellent graphs on the wealth gap between the blacks and whites during this time. We have to understand that our country has inherently institutional and systemic racism built into it. And if you don't understand that, then your eyes are closed. My eyes
Yeah.
are wide open. I know how to be able to navigate. And so my job is to make sure people are aware of this. We shouldn't get discouraged now. All right.
Right.
I'm not saying that to be negative, but I'm saying that if we're going to play the game, you need to know who the players are and how to play well. Let me just address something real quick. I saw one of
Yeah.
your viewers mentioned the Tuskegee experiment. So we need to make sure it's not an experiment. It was a study.
Okay.
Right? People need to go back and listen to my podcast or broadcast on last Friday. I had a descendant whose great grandfather was a participant in that study. It was not an
Mm-hmm.
experiment. It was a
Okay.
study. And what's the difference between experiment and study? These gentlemen, they were enrolled in this study. It was an
Mm-hmm.
actual study that the federal government allowed, and they knew that they had syphilis. They knew it, but
Mm-hmm.
they withheld treatment from these black men.
Okay.
I'm saying that now because that is not a reason for you not to take the vaccine. Bam.
There it is. There it is.
That is not. We as people have got to understand our history. We've got to understand that we have been wronged in our history. But if we
Mm-hmm.
plan to make advances, we cannot live according to history. We have to make sure that when we move into the future, that we don't allow the mistakes of our past to now affect our future.
Go
This is
ahead,
not
sir.
the time for us to say, "Well, I'm not going to get this vaccine because of how they did us wrong." No, you're in error. God has provided this vaccine for us. The
Mm-hmm.
vaccine is safe. The vaccine will help us in bringing down the virus. Now, again, if you want to believe the conspiracy theories, that's cool. It's not my job to convince you. There's nothing I can do to convince you. But let me tell you, vaccinations have been proven all the way back. If you want to go back to the earlier days before America was even created as a nation, go back to the plague. There's some study I've done about the history of medicine back 1200s, 1300s. Vaccines have worked for centuries. This is how
Mm-hmm.
God has utilized us to be able to break through these certain plagues that happen on our land. So we need to be careful when we say stuff. Well, I'm not going to get it because of Tuskegee. First of all, it wasn't an experiment. It was a true study. So we want to make sure
Mm-hmm.
you know our facts. And if you want to go there with that, then that means there's a whole lot of stuff you shouldn't do because of the Tuskegee study. We have to be so careful that we just don't use one little incident to now say that we will not go forward in the breakthroughs that we've been a part of.
And that's it's a good point that you brought that up because this is Black History Month, and we know that again we've had to endure so much, and this may seem. Hopefully, I can get this in content here. Is that as Black men, Dr. Shepard, we have probably been the most hated the most, I'm going to go street language here, the most dogged people in a culture. And yet again, it goes back to, is it our pride of not being able to, like I said, either denial or pride that keeps us from reaching out? Because I see so many black men now, young black men, that are so full of anger and hate. And the people that they're taking it out on are the people that are the same color as themselves.
Yeah.
Please help me with understand that.
Yeah, it's sad. What has happened is we as black men, I'm gonna start there first. Black men, we are victimized. There are very little other ethnic groups, even if you are Hispanic, if you are Asian American, even if you're of not of the majority ethnic group, that you can compare yourself to what a black man feels in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Black men are marked. Let me just say quickly, just this week, what we've only been 3 days into this week.
Right.
As a black man, you should be appalled as to what has happened in 3 days. Daniel Prude, a black man with a mental health issue, the police will not be charged with killing this man. That happened
Right.
this week. Elijah McClain, this week, police officers will not be charged with the death of this boy. They gave him an overdose of ketamine to sedate him, autistic, if I believe. Again, we're marked men. These things happened in 2020, but this week, the last 3 days, they have said that this will not happen. Then today, Good Morning America does a expose on the Rafters president, who is, I believe, of African descent. I'm not sure which country within the continent of Africa, but they showed how the white officer pushed him, the president of an NBA team, as they were celebrating 2019 when they won the championship. If you remember that,
Right. Yeah.
he was trying to get on the floor to celebrate with his players, pushed him. And then the white officer goes back and tries to sue him and said that the man broke his jaw. A lie. And thankfully, there was body camera to prove that he was lying. This has
Right.
happened. All this happened in 3 days, Cruz, since Monday.
Right.
So we as black men, we are marked. And so I understand the reason for the hate. The thing that I don't understand is how we channel the anger and the anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to do a better job of learning how to harness that and how to be able to channel that into something that's productive. And so that's the reason why we need people like you. That's the reason why we need people like me to be out there to help channel this anger. You can be angry. I get angry even talking about it.
Right.
But let me tell you this, and I don't know if you're about to go there. Black men, yes, but I would even submit to you that black women are even more I can't even think of the right word, are even more dealt with in a worse way than black men. They may not be killed as often as us. And even there's some studies that may show that they're right up there. But black women have to deal not only with being black, but being a woman. And sexism in this country is at an all-time high.
I just heard all my women out there said, "Go ahead, now preach." And I'm not making light of this, but you're right. That when you look at what all that they've had to endure, it's sad. But again, it goes back to what you're saying. We have to become more aware, and there has to be more forums like this, and they have to see more credible people like yourself and those people that don't mind a little bit of. I know these shows are not going to be popular. I don't do them because they're popular or whether they're going to draw a large audience. If we can reach 3-4 people, somebody that may be struggling right now, and see you come on and talk about these things, that makes all this worthwhile in my mind.
Absolutely. I'm just looking here because I want to make sure I'm sharing this video, because this thing is so crucial, because I want people to be able to get this information. We have to learn how to appreciate each other. We have to learn to appreciate our black women. I've been really on that soapbox and mantra because I missed that 4 years ago when Hillary Clinton, now she's not a black woman, but I really didn't understand how bad the sexism was. until she lost, until we actually end up having to have a president such as President Trump. It
Right.
had to open up my eyes. That had to happen to open up my eyes to understand how deeply rooted sexism and racism is in this country. And that's unfortunate. And so people are still missing the mark even today. You
Yeah.
got a Chris Harrison on The Bachelor who is arguing with a black woman about whether or not should the contestants who are on The Bachelor right now should have participated in an antebellum masquerade party. How dare he? He's trying
Wow.
to explain to one of the former bachelorettes, I think that's how you say it, black
Right.
woman. He trying to tell her, well, it's not PC today, but it could have been PC back. No, you need to go. That tells me you're ignorant. Because
Right.
she said, well, where would I have fit in? What would I have dressed up as? And he's
Right.
still trying to. We don't have time nor tolerance for people to be in leadership position and not understand how their words and their actions affect people of different race. We have got to come to and hold people accountable. Let me tell you, I'm going to hold
Hmm.
people accountable.
Right. Yeah. We have to, and one of the things that I don't know where this knowledge came from, but I said back when Hillary was running that the good old boy system wasn't ready for a woman to be president, and so they pulled out every stop there was to do that, just like they tried to do. I don't care whether you like Vice President Harris or not. That's a personal thing, but still, we saw how that they came after her more than they did, in my opinion, than they did Joe Biden. So that tells you that we still, even in 2021 here, have a long way to go. And I think that it's causing so much. I'm seeing so many women now that are going through depression, and it's is there different levels of depression, Dr. Shepard? That I know sometimes they talk about mild depression, severe depression, and things like that. Kind of put that in perspective for us.
Yeah, when people start talking about the different types of depression, I kind of get a little confused. I'll be honest with you. Depression is a real, true disorder, and I think people get confused between what is distress and what's the disorder. I think
Oh,
that's really what people are trying to say, because
okay,
everybody gets distressed.
right.
If you are alive, you will have distress. You will never be a person, a human being, if you don't have distress, because that's part of who we are. But
Hmm.
if you stay distressed on that journey or pathway or continuum, however, whichever word you want to use, you will then hit the pit stop of disorder. So if you stay distressed too long, you'll become disordered. And disordered means that you're no longer functioning properly.
Mm.
And so when you attach that word disorder to depressive disorder, that means that now you're of a low mood to where you're unable to function properly. So a lot of people utilize the word depression, and they don't really mean depression. They really mean they're distressed. But when you truly have depression, that is a 2-week consecutive weeks of
Okay.
certain symptoms. All right. And these symptoms will not allow you to function properly. And so there's 8 symptoms that go along with depression. You don't have to have
Mm.
all 8. You can have at least 4 or 5 of the 8 for 2 straight weeks, and that will cause depression. Now, Michelle Obama, when she was talking about having mild depression last year,
Hmm.
she may have had a depressive episode. Depressive episode could have lasted for 2 weeks and then just stopped. Who knows? Or she could have been talking about depression. But
Hmm.
us as people, as Black people, with the racial reconciliation, the racial injustices, in addition to the pandemic, man, all of that crashed on us within the first 5-6 months, and we were done. After watching George Floyd die, after watching a man put his knee on this black man's neck and watch the life be choked out of him. Let me tell you, that was something that was a lot of people can never get over that. And I understand that. And, that caused a lot of corporations to start saying, what do we need to do to make sure that we can reconcile how we're going to be able to treat our black employees and our black persons who are working with us. So it really was discouraging for so many people. So depression is real. I'm watching even some of the comments on here, some chemical imbalance. Yes, it can be something that is organic, but that's only one cause. You don't have to have a chemical imbalance to express a depressive episode or a depressive disorder. Life will cause you.
Right.
Environmental factors, what you've gone through. There's no chemical imbalance. So part of it can be organic, absolutely. But there's another factor that we must also talk about that has nothing to do with the organic or chemical imbalance. Life itself can deal you a deck of cards, and if you're not strong enough, it will cause you to go into a depressive episode. And when I say that not strong enough, I'm not saying that you're weak.
Okay, right.
Anything can knock you down. Last year I went through some real tough things, Cruz. I went through this time last year. By this time, I had lost my grandmother, 93 years old. She died, and I had a 7-year-old nephew to die within 2 months of each other. Let me tell you, I was functioning, but I was not okay. Life itself will hand you some things that will, if you're not careful and you don't have the support group around you, that will cause you to go into a depressive episode. You're not distressed, you're actually disordered, and you're not functioning properly.
And I'm glad you brought that out and defined that, because you're right. We all go through some type of distress, especially when you're trying to navigate something that we've never been through before. And it seems like every week there's some new chapter to what's going on. And I feel for the people down in Texas, because I have a friend that's in the service down there, and he was sharing with me every day what it was like to be in that environment. And we're talking about even on an army base where it was so cold, all the power was out. He sent me pictures of Walmart just empty. So you're looking at not only people that are out of work, they're dealing with death, they're dealing with a dysfunctional government. They're dealing now with a storm that nobody was prepared for. That has to be, you're right. If somebody got depressed out of that, I wouldn't call them weak. And I think we have to stop calling people weak simply because, like I said, life will hit you in the butt sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not weak. I think you're weak-minded if you're calling me weak. That's what I would go back and say. You're insensitive. You don't understand. You don't get it. Ted Cruz, he don't get it.
Right.
You can't just fly out because you got the ability to fly out and take your family in the middle of a crisis. That again, I go back to leadership. When you are a leader, you get in and you take the sacrifice and you take the hit, like I did, and you don't complain about it and you keep going. You can't just jump in and pass out water after you get back and think that's going to make everything okay. No, you missed your time. You missed your opportunity to lead people when they need leadership.
Yeah.
We need good leadership. And so that's what we're lacking. And so I'm thankful that we do have hopefully a president now who can provide some good leadership, that can help navigate us through these troubled waters. And so if those who are out there, if you have a good pastor, celebrate your pastor, whether it's a female or male, somebody who can help guide you. If you have good parents, celebrate your parents. If you have someone who you know is the head of your household and who's leading you through that, please celebrate them, because leadership is what we need.
Dr. Shepard, I want to kind of fast because I don't want to monopolize the time here. I had a couple more things I want to touch on. Talking about the mental impact on our youth and young adults. How can we, as adults, I know because we're struggling too, but be able to help our young people to make it through these challenging moments here? Because I know mentally, if we're struggling, they're struggling probably just as much or more.
Yeah. So we have to recognize that children do have mental health issues, um, and they are real, and we should not negate them or water them down. So, first of all, acknowledging that they can have the issues. Then, number two, be sensitive.
Hmm.
Um, don't blow them off. Don't, oh, you all be all right. You know, they are no big deal. You don't miss your friends. Yes, they do.
Hmm.
They miss that connectivity. They miss that camaraderie. They miss that support. Peer support at that age is crucial. You know that. They'll listen to their friends before they listen to their parents. I'm not saying that
Right.
that's right, but that's just how it is. So sit down, listen to them, find out what they know, find out what they're thinking about. Let me
Hmm.
tell you, Cruz, why we got to do it, because suicide rates in
Yes.
our children are skyrocketing. And I ain't talking about just any child. I'm talking about black children.
Right.
In the state of Maryland, where I live, during the pandemic, during the first 4 to 5 months, suicide rates for blacks went up, while suicide rates for whites went down. So you got the wealth gap. We down here, they up here, and
Hmm.
then suicide rates flip. We up here, they down here. Again, something's wrong with that picture. So children are killing themselves. I've heard so many different people who are talking about the children, black, white, athletes, those who are popular, killing
Hmm.
themselves because the pandemic is really stressing them out. And so we got to open up our ears. We got to take down our guards, and be able to hear what our children are saying to us. Know that they are having some real struggles and be able to answer their questions.
And another looming topic here, because as Black people, not saying that we got a lock on God, but that has been one of the things that has helped us through all these years of being abused and abused and things like that. The spiritual connection here, how important is that? Because now we don't have that fellowship anymore. We're not able to get out there and feel what we did when we were able to, congregate together. How mentally, Dr. Shepard, how do we again navigate and become better? And as you said, you got some relief for us. Give us some relief in this area of what we can do as a people. To get over the hump with this.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is unfortunate because our churches were closed, and most of them are still closed. Some of them are allowing some of their members to come back in some type of hybrid formation. But it was one of the first times where the church doors were closed, and in the midst of a disaster. 9/11, people were running to churches. Churches were full that Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that very clearly.
Right.
Churches were open. Normally, they were not open. Any other disaster, churches are filling up because people want to get that spiritual connectivity. They want to get that spiritual help that they need because they're searching for something. The pandemic closed that down. So, what do we need to do? This is your time to establish a church within your home. Well,
Mm.
what do you mean? I'm not the well, church is not the physical building. The church is you.
Right.
You are the ones who make up the church. Yes, the church is a physical building. It is a church building, but the church body is you. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to embody the faith. You have to be the one to now practice the faith. It really is a good lesson to what I do in my professional life.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to talk a good talk when you're in my office, but I need to know what you're going to do once you leave my office. So many people, oh, I want to do it. You all out there. I'm going to do that diet. I'm going to do this. Whatever the doctor tell you to do, and then you walk out. I ain't taking that medication.
Right.
And I tell you, I sometimes just bust it up. I said, I already know what you're gonna say when you get to your car. You're not taking. I don't care what you say. They just start laughing.
Right.
Why you always trying to call me out, Dr. Shepard? Because I know you. And that's what we got to do. We got to practice what we believe. And you have to practice it at home. So what does that look like? And this is part of the relief. You got to pray. You have to pray like your pastor? No, but you should be able to have a prayer when you get up in the morning before you go to bed. Thank God for his goodness for allowing you to wake up and see another day. Now, see, I can go there because that right there in itself should get you happy.
Right.
You were not one of the ones who succumbed to the virus. You're not one of the 500,000. So we have something to be grateful for. We have something to be thankful for. Yes, you may have lost your job. Yes, you may not have as much money as you desire, but you're still here. And so that's the relief I want to tell you is that you got to be grateful. You got to be thankful that you're still here. And with that, we must face our days with courage. We must have that grit. We must have that bravery that in the end, everything will be okay. So that courage is what's necessary. So when you are praying, when you are reading your Bible, reading the Word of God, you're studying and reading those spiritual help books, develop that courage. Face the next day with courage, and then be responsible. When you're going through, that's not the time to throw up your hands and say, well, I can just do whatever I want to do because now I'm not working. I'm not doing it. No, this is the time where you need to draw up and be more responsible. You need to be responsible for your money, be responsible for how you're caring for yourself, responsible for your sleep, responsible for your self-care. This is the relief that I'm giving to you. The grit, the responsibility. And then when you've done all that, know that you have something inside of you that's called resiliency. And with that resiliency, when you fall, you can bounce back. You don't bounce back to where you were. You bounce back higher. And that's the thing I love about resiliency. You may fall, and thank God for the fall. I said it. Thank God for the fall. But when I get back up and I'm elevated, I will not be where I was when I fell. And so that thing right there blesses me because that's what happened to me. I fell. I had my salary cut. I had death. I had all this occur. I fell. But let me tell you, in the end, Cruz, I was able to earn more money in 2020 than I have ever earned in my life. And that is only because of the goodness of God. So when you are a sacrificial leader, and when you are one who gives and you understand courage, you understand responsibility, and you know that you have resiliency that's built down inside of you, then you can come back and be stronger. So that is some of the things that I want to share with people in regards to the relief that is available to you. You got to also take care of yourself. Make sure that you are taking time to recognize those things within your body that are going awry. Take time to be able to breathe. Take those times to be able to do our breathing exercises that I talk about. What are the breathing exercises, Dr. Shepard? Take a minute to recognize when you're inhaling and exhaling. It will help to calm you down. Take a minute when you're in the shower and just purify your mind. Allow your body to be cleansed, but this is your time for your mind to be cleansed too, to reset. It's so important. It really is. And then make sure that you're eating right. Eat healthy. Get rid of some of those snacks. It really blew my mind how many people were filling up their pantries. And then the very next week, 2 weeks later, man, I got to go back to the grocery store. Wait, did you just buy it? What?
Right.
Come on now. These are things that we need to do. These are things that will bring relief. So giving you some spiritual and practicality things to do.
Absolutely. And I just want to piggyback on something, Dr. Shepard, not to steal your thunder, but sometimes people need to, again, understand that you don't have to feel guilty about not going to a building, because that word church in and of itself means ecclesia, means called out. So we are
Yes.
called out from the world. But again, I have to go back to that scripture where Jesus said, where, two or three are gathered in my name, I'll be there also. So again, we can stay connected to God. We have Zoom. We can touch bases with people like yourself. So all is not lost. And I want to kind of make a segue here for you. And please correct me if I'm wrong. But is it okay not to be okay?
Yes.
I really want you to deal with that, because and let me share a little bit of my testimony. From watching my Facebook page, my uncle and his wife both passed in December, 6 days behind one another.
Wow.
By that time, I'm dealing with that, and then I have my mom, who has just been released after 30 days,
Mm.
in the hospital.
Mm.
I have, relatives and my son dealing with COVID. And again, as a Black man, I kept telling myself, I can't break down, I can't break down. And I thought about, you know what? There was that one scripture that was, as we said, the shortest scripture in the Bible, where it says, Jesus wept. And that is relief,
Mm-hmm.
because if we don't have any release, I would probably be sitting on your couch up in Maryland there, twiddling my thumbs or something. And I had to tell myself, don't be embarrassed, because as a pastor, I used to tell people it's okay to cry. It's okay not to be okay. As a professional and one that deals with the mind and the body, please um, expound on that and give us some hope in this.
Yeah. It's okay to not be okay. There are several people within the Bible who were not okay. David, one of the main people within the Old Testament, he went through so much drama. A lot of it was self-inflicted. He had children who hated him, children who tried to kill him. He cheated on his wife. Had had a man murdered
Right.
in order to cover up what he did. I mean, David was, quite a character, but yet he still made it through. He still was a man after God's own heart.
Hmm.
And I don't say that to lift up his fallacies or his flaws. I say that to let you know you can be flawed, but yet you understand how to be able to correct it. That's my
Hmm.
problem that I have with people. You shouldn't stay flawed. If you recognize the flaw, do something about it. If you recognize the deficiency, let's figure out how do we plug up the deficiency, improve, and do better. So this pandemic has exposed so many of our flaws.
Right.
You don't sit there and say, well, I can't do nothing about it. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. I want to be able to encourage you. And this is part of the relief. This is part of why we're talking today. I need to inspire you for you to recognize whatever's going on inside of you, that you can do better and you will
Hmm.
do better. You just got to determine and pick up that you're going to do better. Yes, do the self-assessment. Yes, recognize where the shortfalls are. But then that's where we provide the help. If you need help in getting better, if you need help in seeing how to be able to handle these pitfalls or deficiencies, ask for it. That's something that's not to be embarrassed about. There's several people who are not functioning well, and you can
Hmm.
tell it. Their attitude stinks. You say
Well,
hello, they bite your head off. All I said was hello.
right.
What?
Right.
Are you serious? People are getting upset. Car accidents are at all-time high. Check with your insurance folks. They'll tell you.
Yep.
And not only are they at an all-time high, they're more dangerous than others, because more dangerous than ever, because people are driving faster, they're more angry, they're more anxious. And so it's killing us literally. So
Hmm.
what we have to do, we've got to ask for help. Today's episode should have inspired you to say, I heard what Dr. Shepard said. I heard what Mr. Cruz was saying. Let me figure out, how do I improve in those areas? Because we have to do better. 2021 is going to be the year where, if you're going to do it, it's the time to do it. Don't be wasting any time. Let me tell you, Cruz, I'm getting everything I'm supposed to get this year. I'm going
Well,
after it. If you get in my way, that's cool. I'll just go right around you. I ain't gonna knock you down. I don't have time to be trying to fight and knock people down. It's not even that. Unless you're trying to steal my passion, then I'm gonna have to fight you for it.
right.
But let me tell you, those. This is the areas that hopefully we're providing some inspiration, some insight for you to do better in.
Absolutely. And I'm going to give you a chance to close out with your sites. But I posted today, and, I thank God for the inspiration that He gives me. And my post was, if you're up on your upward trajectory, don't let anybody delay you from going there. Either they can roll up with you or they can roll without you, one or the other. And that's where I am. Either you can roll up with me or you can roll out, because this plane is going to keep going.
That's right.
And I'm not going to let you hold me down because of your issues. And
That's right.
I'm on a journey. So we're putting up your website here. Dr. Shepard, I want again for you to go back and let everybody know about your programs and where they can find you. Because I'm telling you right now, I don't endorse a lot of people, but I do endorse this brother right here. And I bring him on because I know anytime he comes on, one, he's going to keep it real. Two, he's going to bring it, as we used to say back down in the South, straight off from the can. That's y'all can look that one up. It's an old Southern thing. So I'm telling my age here. So straight off from the can, and again, always insightful, Dr. Shepard. I enjoy having you on. I'm looking forward again where we can have these conversations to help others that are struggling, even like myself. This was therapeutic for me tonight because it made me admit that it's okay for me not to be okay,
That's right.
even with all the things that I'm dealing with in the course of the last 90 days. So appreciate that. Go ahead and let everybody know again about your programs, where they can follow you at, your platforms.
So actually, yes, you can follow me. That's how you spell my name, Jonathan Shepard. You can follow me on Facebook. You can follow me on my professional page, Dr. Jonathan Shepard. And both of those will lead you to both of the podcasts or broadcasts. The one on Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, called Ask the Doctors. I'm the host of that. And then the one on Saturdays at 12 noon, Spirit in Mind. You can check out both of those. You can also check out my YouTube channel. Both of those broadcasts are listed there. And so thank you. You can go to my website, drjonathanshepard.com, and find out information there. So just stay up, with me. And Cruz, let me tell you, it's all right. Let me tell you that when you say you're functioning, but you're not okay, but you're still here, that in itself is a testimony. And
Well,
so let me tell you, those of you out there, you agree with us. You may be functioning, but you're not okay, but you're still here. And because you're
yes.
still here, that means there's breath in your body to see another day and to make sure that you can achieve the purpose and the goals that God has given unto you. And so I want to tell people, hang in there. The pandemic will end. I will
Hmm.
say that too. And that's not trying to be scary or spooky or prophetic. The pandemic will end. I'm telling you now.
Right.
You want to make sure that when it ends, that you're not left behind. Because let me tell you, some folks going to be left behind trying to do things like they were trying to do in 2019. The world has changed and we're not going back. So don't get left behind. This is your time for self-improvement. This is your time to do better. So let's come on and let's get on this train of do better. And that's all I have for today.
Yeah. Dr. Shepard, don't go anywhere. I got a little, I want to give everybody this PSA here. So hold on just a second here because I got something special. People, pay attention to this because, again, you're going to benefit from this.
Many Americans, especially African Americans, are plagued with financial challenges, job losses, health issues, and more. Many of us are suffering from mental fatigue due to the pandemic. There is hope. There is someone who is compassionate and cares about your mental well-being. Dr. Jonathan Shepard is an award-winning mental health professional. Named top doctor in the field of psychiatry, his holistic approach to wellness has made him a highly sought-after and well-respected motivational speaker. Dr. Shepard is a board-certified child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist. For additional information or to schedule a consultation with Dr. Shepard, please visit www.drjonathanshepard.com.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much again for being here with us, and I'm looking forward to having you back again. It's always an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you. I appreciate the time, Cruz, and I speak blessings upon this company and the radio station and the media industry that you are continuing to guard. I guess lead. I'm trying to think of the word when there's a ship, there's a captain who is sailing the corporation. I can't think of the verb for it right now, but anyway, but I'm thankful for your leadership, and as you continue to sail and steer, maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Steer this ship, this media ministry, this media organization that you steer. May God's choicest blessings be upon you.
Absolutely, and same in all your endeavors. And we know that definitely by your walk, by your talk, by your practice, God has his hand on you. And I know that the Kojic Nation is proud of their Kojic son, because I'm watching you. I see what you're doing. And congratulations on your being appointed to the various boards. We didn't even get into that tonight on all the things that you got going on, but congratulations on that.
Let me tell you. No, I was not. The election did not occur. So breaking news: the election got suspended yesterday. We had because of technological difficulties, and I was just looking. People checking on me right now to see how am I doing with all of that. And let me tell you, I'm doing fine. There may be some people, because I shared it on my page, they probably wonder how is Shepard doing. I'm doing fine. I'm doing wonderful. Because let me tell you, even if I didn't win the election, I have more work to do. I told people I'm going to be all right February 24th if I win, or if I didn't, if I won, if I didn't win, because I got too much work to be worried about if I won an election or not. So, hey, I'm okay.
On that note, I'm going to call you Nehemiah. You're doing a great work, and you're too busy to come down.
Yeah, well, now look, I got to come down and rest. I am going to rest. I'm going to take care of myself. I do believe in self-care. So that's part of that. All right. I don't want nobody to say, well, all he do is work. No, sir.
That I'm gonna have to take a page from you, man. I got to get better than that. I will make my confession. They said confession is good for the soul, right? I got to learn to turn off the internet sometimes, because that's because of the media I live in that. But as we close out, thank you for that, because we have to understand we need to close off a television, social media, all that, and spend some time in meditation or just in quietness.
Yes, absolutely. I rarely turn my TV on at night anymore. I'll be in my house. I could go the whole day and the TV not be on in my whole house. I didn't used to be able to do that until the pandemic.
Right.
So I'm not one of those ones who got stuck on Hulu and HBO Max and all these other streamers. I mean, they made some buku money. They ain't make it off of me. Well, I take that back. I did order HBO Max. So
confession is good.
I wanted to watch. I forget which show that was that came. Anyway, but let me tell you, I didn't get hooked up with all these other ones because I understood that I had greater purpose, and in doing so, I've learned how to be content with the state that I am in. And that state is not, I'm staying unsatisfied. I'm going to continue to move up higher, just like I was talking about earlier. All right, let me stop. I'm talking too much.
No, you're doing just fine. Let me tell everybody real quick. If you missed any part of this, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is Cruise Inc. Radio 102.8 TV on YouTube, and you can catch the entire broadcast tonight if you missed any of it. And also go to Dr. Shepard's YouTube page as well. He has a wealth of information out there. So everybody, thank you for being with us. Thank you, audience, for your comments. Thank you for tuning in with us, and you all be blessed until we meet again.